Now, if you're talking overall about the industry at this point in time, where we are kind of seeing Hero MotoCorp slipping, at least you can in a way say that they are at the weakest point when their Q2 has not been that great. On the other hand, we are seeing very aggressive rollout from the Honda. Largely right now they are targeting on the 125cc segment. So giving us a sense at this point in time, does that hurt you a little bit that the competition is growing at this point? And I mean, how is Bajaj overall planning to create a difference in that spot?
Well, the competition's been there for a long time. I mean, Honda has been making motorcycles since 2004. One never underestimates Honda. The reality is that they are the biggest two-wheeler company in the world. Hero might claim to be, but the reality is that Honda is the world's biggest two-wheeler manufacturer. The reality is that Honda dominates almost all markets in which it participates. So one never takes a competitor like that lightly. But so far we've competed successfully. And the best thing we can do is to stay with the strategy that has served us so well. As far as Hero is concerned, I think, the reality still is that for at least the 65% of the people who buy the 100cc motorcycle, Hero is still the market leader. They still stand head and shoulders above everyone else. I think in terms of their capacities, their distribution, quality, etc., pricing, they are fantastic. So while it's true they are under pressure, and we would like them to be under even more pressure, but they are not somebody one can wish away, So that's why I said that it's going to be very interesting. You have three players in the marketplace. You have a sort of a challenger in Bajaj who's been doing well, especially last 3 years. You have Honda, who's #1 in the world. You have Hero, who's #1 in India, but who's struggling a bit. But all three have strengths. So I think from January, this market is going to be very interesting to observe. Like
you said, Hero, which is now #1 in India, but it's kind of struggling at this point. But does this give you an opportunity to move to that #1 position?
For Bajaj, it is clear we don't make scooters. We are a motorcycle player. This is integral to our strategy of being a specialist. Being a specialist means you must sacrifice. We don't make mopeds, we don't make scooters, we don't make cheap 100cc bikes. Sometimes the competition, in order to get volumes, can drop prices or introduce cheap stuff, compromise on margins. I mean, it's no secret that Hero's operating margins are effectively half of ours now. Sometimes competition will do that. TVS margins are even lower than Hero's. But in the short term, it may well be that in volume terms, Hero and Honda will stay ahead of Bajaj. But I think in terms of profitability, in terms of market cap, in terms of technology, in terms of exports, I think Bajaj will continue to stay ahead.
Hamara Bajaj, which is the actual scooter brand, which has been a heritage brand in many ways actually. So you made the transition from scooter to motorbikes. So not making a transition back from motorbikes to scooter, but at least an attempt to possibly try a scooter brand again. Will that be Bajaj's strategy anytime in future, since you already have the expertise?
What must be recognized is that in the 70s and 80s and most of the 90s, when Bajaj was so popular with scooters, Hamara Bajaj was often called the national anthem almost. But it must be simultaneously observed, Bajaj was almost non-existent in motorcycles at that time. When I started taking an interest in motorcycles, which was probably around 94 or 95, we were doing 3,000 motorcycles a month, close to zero. It's very hard for a company to do two big things right. It's very, very hard. In terms of profitability, in terms of sales, you give it away free, I can sell more scooters than anyone else, but where will that take me? So yes, there was a time when Bajaj was huge in scooters, but Bajaj was insignificant in bikes. Today Bajaj is big in motorcycles, not only in India, all over the world, at least in many markets of the world, in 50-60 markets of the world. But we are zilch as far as scooters are concerned. So all said and done, at the end of the day, I think we have to choose. And the question is, why have we chosen motorcycles and why not scooters? Simply because of 100 two-wheelers sold worldwide, 70 are still motorcycles. It may be 65, I don't know the exact number, but over 50% clearly. So we would like people to think, if you want a motorcycle, go to Bajaj. If you want a scooter, go to Honda. If you want both, go to Hero. That's fine. Each company's strategy is different. But the one who does one thing well, who's a specialist, will always have pricing power. And his margins will always be double. That's why we choose to be a motorcycle specialist.
But going forward, we would want to understand ramping up of capacity at this point in time. I guess there again we are seeing more of aggression coming from everybody. Heroes, I guess 2 plants are going to be ready and operational pretty soon. Before the end of this fiscal, if I'm not wrong, they had last mentioned. Honda again is also talking about 1 CR capacity by 2015. So just wanted to understand, 1 CR capacity by 2015. Do you think that's where the industry is headed? Are we seeing the industry moving at that speed? And give us a sense on your capacity ramp up as well. You had earlier mentioned that you would need another plant.
People, it's very hard to comment on what someone else has said, but I think the situation is different for different people. For example, in case of Honda, a lot of the capacity they are putting up may perhaps be for exports. I don't know. Are they putting it up because they sense the domestic demand to grow so much? Are they putting it up because they want to stop making their two-wheelers in more expensive factories and export them out of India? That's a question you have to ask them. As far as Hero is concerned, as of now their exports are not very great, not very big. And if they are putting up 2 new plants, I would be personally a little circumspect. I don't see the market environment supportive of such large investments in terms of capacity, not necessarily in terms of money, but in terms of capacity at this time being. If they're still going to do it, as you say, within this fiscal, then all I can say is that they know something that I don't, because I certainly don't see the need to increase capacities right now. It really doesn't matter who's putting up what capacities. What is important is who's selling how much, at what price, and with what bottom line. If our new products, especially the new 100cc bike, is successful and we have to push up capacities, we'll do it. We'll do it within 6 months, I'm sure. It won't cost very much. And as of now, we will do it at our current locations. I think up to 500,000 motorcycles, we don't need a new location. When we start getting close to that, we will. And certainly Gujarat would be one place to look at that point of time.
What's your plan with KTM going forward? Would you ever look at holding majority stake in KTM going forward? So, because that's going to be substantially important for Bajaj also if it goes through. So would that be in strategy? And give us a sense on the launches we can expect post-Duke possibly over the next 1 year.
KTM will launch at least 1 new motorcycle in this market every year. It's no secret that next year they want to launch a 390cc KTM, but I suspect they will launch more than one. As far as our own shareholding is concerned, it's up to 47% now, as you know. And I don't think materially, in terms of management, 47 is any different from 50 or 51. So I think Bajaj participates in all important decisions at KTM. And by increasing our stake to 50 or 51%, I don't see any more advantage for Bajaj or for KTM.
You would not consider to up your stake at all?
I can say that at this time we are not considering it. What happens a year, 5 years, 10 years from now, is anybody's guess.
Right. Talking about RE60 again, give us a sense on the rollout plans there, because you did say that you would start exports to Sri Lanka. So give us an understanding whether that started, because I guess you said exports would start first and then you will possibly have the commercial launch in Indian market. So where does it stand at this point, and how soon can we expect that to start possibly?
First of all, the product development is absolutely on schedule. So we had said that we will launch next year. We don't give an exact date, but we say next year, and it will definitely be next year. And by that I don't mean 31st of December next year. It will be sometime, say, towards the middle of 2013. So that's on schedule. As of now, the production facilities are being readied. That's happening at our plant in Aurangabad, and from what I last heard, that is also on schedule. In terms of launch, yes, we may launch first in Sri Lanka. We are studying that possibility because, quite frankly, as of now, RE60 being built to quadricycle norms is not a legitimate category as far as the Indian market is concerned. In fact, it's quite peculiar that this category of vehicles is legitimately permitted in Europe. It can be sold in Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. It's okay to sell in Indonesia and Philippines. It's fine in Nigeria, Kenya and Sudan. It's okay in Colombia, but it's not okay in India. And also at about 8,000 three-wheelers a month. Sri Lanka is one of our two largest three-wheeler markets. So it seemed the logical place to start from. That's what we will do. As and when this category quadricycle is legitimized in India, of course we will supply to the Indian market.
On Renault's front, we have heard in a couple of media reports, and they've also addressed in media, and they've told that they have nothing to do with the product RE60. Or are you planning to go solo on the product, or how would that be?
Well, I'm glad you're listening to Renault now, because I have been saying for a long time that this product is being designed and developed by Bajaj, and that Renault and Nissan have nothing to do with its design and development. What I've also heard more recently is that Nissan has expressed its lack of interest in the RE60 in terms of selling it. I don't know if this is true, because it's only a media report. We have officially not heard anything from Nissan. We have not heard anything from Renault, whether officially or through media. So the last that we have heard from Renault Nissan was that after observing this product in January at the Auto Expo, they would come back with their feedback, their opinion, their suggestion, but we have not heard from them in the last 9 months. So that's why, my honest answer is I have no idea what's going on in their mind, but I do know what's going on in my company, and we are proceeding with the launch of this product next year.
Right. Lastly, if you could give us a sense on the upcoming launches from Bajaj, KTM or Kawasaki together over the period of next 2 to 3 years.
From a Bajaj point of view, after the success of the 200 NS with the Pulsar, surely we must do an encore, and there will be a new Pulsar in the market in 2013, a all new Pulsar again. And then in the commuting segment will be this 100cc motorcycle we spent so much time on. I think in terms of volumes, I have a lot of hopes resting on that particular motorcycle. We also have new three-wheelers finally scheduled for launch. It's been a long time since we did justice to our leadership in three-wheelers. And so we are launching actually several new three-wheelers to almost replace our entire portfolio. All this will happen in 2013, and of course along with that will be the four-wheeler RE60. So I think between KTM, Kawasaki, Bajaj motorcycles, three-wheelers and four-wheelers, you should see at least one new launch every month.
Thank you so much for talking.